So what exactly is an AI agent? You've probably heard the terms agent or agentic countless times in the past few months as the AI wave, or should I just call it AI hype, continues to gain momentum. But what exactly is an agent? Now, the traditional definition is a person who acts on behalf of another person or group. As for an artificial intelligence agent, these are basically systems that takes action or perform tasks by calling tools or services like searching the web, querying a database, or sending an email. So you don't actually have to do it yourself. Now, agents can perform these tasks sequentially or in parallel. It all depends on how you design them or how they actually put together. Now, another thing that is crucial that you should take note of is that AI agents are powered by an underlying AI model, and one of the most commonly used models are large language models. So we can safely say that many of the current AI agents that lots of tech CEOs and tech evangelists are talking about are powered by LLMs and most times multimodal large language model, MLLM. So let's head over to our IDE. Now, the main file is the main.py, like the name goes. First, let's take a look at the memory component, and that's what we have here. Now, this actually helps our agent remember past conversations, and this code actually creates a persistent memory for our agent, storing conversations in this file, memory.json, and it can be found in the data directory, as you can see over here. So this actually allows our agent to maintain context across conversations, but in this case, we are actually just keeping track of 20 recent interactions. That's what we're passing to our model. That's why we have this here. You can increase the number if you want, or reduce the number if you also want to do that. So up next is the brain of our agent, and over here we actually set up our LLM, and as you can see, we're using the Gemini 2.5 Flash preview, and we actually passed in our base URL. So as you can see over here, we actually set the temperature to 0, and this actually makes the responses more deterministic and focused. Now, the next thing we're actually doing here is setting up our tools. Now, we actually passed in all the tools we want to make available to these agents into a list, and at the end of the day, we're going to pass it into the structured chat agent, and we'll also pass it here into the agent executor. Now, the agent executor is basically what actually orchestrates this whole thing. And it orchestrates the entire process. It takes in the user inputs when we actually invoke it here, passes it over to the AI model, and using this structured chat prompt. This structured chat prompt is prepended to our input, so it actually enables the AI model understand what it's actually receiving and understand what it's actually supposed to send back to us. Let's say we are actually passing in tools, and we have the description for the tools, and we want the AI model to be able to produce a structured chat output or a structured output that would actually call whatever tool that's actually necessary to perform the task that we actually want it to perform. So it's really, really simple. And these actually orchestrate the entire process, and it receives the inputs by calling a method that's found in the agent executor. And we're passing in the input, and we're also passing in chat history for context, which is really cool. And then we get our response and we can print it out. So now let's look at what the structured chat prompt actually looks like. Okay, and for more clarity, let's zoom in. So as you can see here, I have this prompt here saying you are Megamind and your personality traits is similar to Jarvis, blah blah blah. But the main thing to actually look at is this. As you can see here, we're actually outputting all our tools. We're actually letting the AI model know what tools we actually have available, their description, and their names. Now, over here, you can see we have valid action values, final answer, or tool names, any of the tool names, basically. And over here, we have this placeholder for the tool name and also the action inputs as the inputs based on the description of that particular tool. So, as you can see, we're actually telling you to follow this format when it's actually doing something or whatever. So the question inputs, question to answer, blah blah blah, the thoughts and the actions and the JSON blob. As you can see here, very simple. And we have the agent scratchpad and input. Now let's go back to main.py. Now we have some tools here. The tools we're going to be testing is a date tool, time tool, and weather tool. Now if we go over to the date tool, it's pretty simple. As you can see, it has a name, a description, and alias, and we actually asking it to actually return it directly. Shouldn't send it back to the AI model to do any further processing or think on it or on how to actually maybe format it and respond. It will basically output whatever this run function actually outputs. That is, the date is. Same thing with the time tool. As you can see here, we actually set return direct to true. And we have the same run function and the same async run function here, that is underscore a run. And as you can see over here, we have the open weather tool and we have a set argument schema. That is basically the format it should actually adhere to when it's making the necessary tool calls. When it's actually sending in the action input, it should format it exactly as represented here in the argument schema. Now in the argument schema, we have this and this variable here, location, and we actually described it exactly as we wanted. Format input as this location, and then we provided some other further instructions like location provided by the user. That is, if I actually give it any location, like what is the weather like in New York, or what is the weather like in New Jersey, or what is the weather like in Lagos, or it should actually check that particular location. You should check the weather for that particular location. But if none is provided, set this value to Lagos, basically. That's the default. So it would adhere to this instruction if the model is actually really good. And since we are using Gemini, this shouldn't be a problem. Okay, and we have same thing here. That is, if it actually produces an empty string or an empty action input, it should just take location as Lagos. So this is just a failsafe basically. And we have the run function and also the async run function. It's really, really simple. Now let's run main.py. So let's ask it what is the date. As you can see, the date is Friday, May 2nd, 2025, and that is when I'm actually recording this video. And let's ask it what is the weather like. As you can see, it gave us in Lagos, the current weather is as follows, blah, 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 blah. And let's ask it, what is the weather like in New York? Now it should actually take the location New York. As you can see, in New York, current weather is as follows. Let's ask it, what is the time? And it should give us the time I'm actually recording this video. As you can see, 22:59 p.m. And as you can see, it's really, really simple. So you can actually modify the tools or create new tools, depends on what you actually want to achieve. But I'm going to be dropping the link to this repo in the description, like I said. And thank you for watching, but make sure you do subscribe. Make sure you do subscribe. It's really important. And just hit the bell notification if you do like videos like this, or you want to actually see more videos from this channel. Make sure you do hit the bell notification. Don't forget to like. It's really simple. Thank you for watching. Have a nice one.